Honda owners have loved their CR-V for decades at this point, but over the last few years, the landscape has sort of changed a little bit. Not in a bad way, the CR-V is now the top-selling model within the Honda lineup, and since the introduction of that hybrid model, this is now selling over 50% with that hybrid powertrain. To me, that makes this the current darling within Honda, but there's some competition, and that comes in the new trim called Trailsport, which we've seen on the Ridgeline, Pilot, and Passport, and now it was only a matter of time before it reaches this CR-V. We've got the 2026 CR-V Trailsport. We're gonna go play in the dirt. The question is, does it really live up to that Trailsport name? The list of changes to the Trailsport model aren't extensive. It's certainly not enough to explain some of the noise you might be hearing. There's no secret engine under the hood that Nick keeps revving up. It's actually gonna be dirt bikes up on the hill because we are here to play in a little bit of dirt. But one of the first things I notice about this trim is the new color, exclusive here to the Trailsport model, and I think it goes really well with some of the other accenting colors we have throughout.
The gloss black found in the front of this vehicle is going to be found throughout the side and the back, and that is exclusive, kind of something that distinguishes the Trailsport trim versus the others. Now, another thing that might distinguish that is the Trailsport logo found in the front and the back. Now, another exterior styling point on the front end of the vehicle is this silver garnish down below. Now, this is to kind of give some exterior ruggedness to the front end, but it is kind of mimicking a skid plate, or the lack thereof a skid plate, because there is no extra skids found on the CR-V Trailsport. So underneath, it's going to be the same as any other trim. So keeping your car protected is important, but the Trailsport doesn't give you any sort of extra protection. Now, you're also going to notice there's no parking sensors in the front or the back, as well as no cameras underneath this Honda radar, because no CR-V has the options for a 360 surround view vision.
Yeah, as far as the different components here, this is most closely related to something like the Sport trim, including the fact that it comes exclusive with the hybrid powertrain, but it also only comes in all-wheel drive. And again, there are a few more things throughout. We'll cover a few more as we get inside, but there's just one more big piece here on the outside. So let's talk about what might be the mouse in the room instead of the elephant. Here's the big improvement to our off-road capability.
And this is a all-terrain tire. Now, these are pretty mild all-terrain. These are a Continental cross-contact ATR all-terrain. Kind of a mouthful, but these come in a size 235/60/18. And with this 18-inch gray painted double 5-spoke style wheel that is exclusive to the Trailsport, it gives the Trailsport extra capability. And that is the extent of the extra capability this trim gets. And it's different from the other Trailsports found in the Ridgeline, the Pilot, the Passport. Those actually get tuned suspension, different skid plates, tow hooks. This doesn't get any of that. All it gets is all-terrain tires. Now, as Travis mentioned, this does come in all-wheel drive as standard, and the all-wheel drive has been improved throughout the all-wheel drive hybrid lineup. So every trim where you get all-wheel drive, it's going to be more capable. It's not exclusive to just this trim, but the tires and the wheels are going to be the biggest kind of capability change found in the 2026 Trailsport.
Which does mean we get 8.2 inches of ground clearance. And here's one other thing that is honestly bothering me just a little bit. We do have some black accenting around here, but we have sort of juxtaposed or conflicting black. Down there on the bottom, we get unpainted plastic, and that very much gives a rugged look. We see it on a lot of vehicles that either want to be, trying to be, or are in fact rugged. But up top, instead of getting things like body colored door handles, we have black. Black mirrors, black window surrounds, black roof rails, but all of those are painted shiny black, which painted shiny black is one of our least favorite things, especially if you are going to go off-road. I think I'd rather they all be that unpainted, or if anything else, just a matte black. But I don't know, Nick, do you have any thoughts on that one?
No, you made a great point. Shiny black is the most scratch enhancing color you can have on a vehicle. And let's say you do go camping and you take this on a trail where there is brush that is hanging over, you're going to be scratching up these mirrors, the roof rails, everything painted in that gloss black. It is going to be scratched until you polish it or take it to a detailer where they can work that out for you. So I do think, me personally, if I were to go and design a Trailsport, let's say I work for Honda, which is not going to happen, but I don't think I would do gloss black mirrors because that is the widest part of the vehicle. And as well as the handles, I don't think that should be gloss black either, because your rings, your watches, your keys in your hand, whatever it may be, that will scratch as well. Now, do I think it looks good? Yes, I think it looks fantastic. But functionality wise, I think it is too much of a scratch prone paint.
CRVs come with one of two engine choices, either a 1.5 liter turbo or this 2-liter hybrid powertrain. It's a 2-motor electric system, and not only is it the best pairing for something like a Trailsport, it's the only one. And it comes exclusively with that all-wheel drive. Now, those electric motors do most of your driving. They'll produce 187 horsepower, 247 pound-feet of torque, but Honda says the whole system will put out 204 horsepower. It's a very interesting drivetrain. If you're curious about more, we'll leave a link down in the description for our deeper dive into this system, but I'm glad it's what we have here.
Shopping for your next crossover SUV, you might be looking for something that'll tow a boat trailer, a bike trailer, whatever it may be. This can tow up to 1,000 pounds. So it's definitely not a lot of weight, but it's something to be had. Now, 1,000 pounds here on the hybrid system. If you go for the 1.5 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, you can tow up to 1,500 pounds. Now, some things that are special to the design here on the back end, you have a gloss black spoiler with that third brake light integrated there, a dark privacy glass that is heated, LED lights with the incandescent turn signal, Trailsport logo over there on the power liftgate, as well as down below, you're gonna notice there's no parking sensors, there's chrome exhaust tips where the exhaust only comes out one side, as well as the silver painted lower valance that gives it that aggressive look and matches the front end. Now, if you're looking to tow a little bit more weight, there are better options within this crossover segment that will tow more, but there are pros and there are cons to some of those other vehicles. In the front of the CRV, it's pretty spacious, 41.3 inches of legroom. So to get in a comfortable spot, you have plenty of power adjustability and two-way lumbar here in this trim. It will get a little bit more adjustable if you go to some higher or less on the lower trims, but nonetheless, this cloth seat does get pretty comfortable with that lumbar adjustment. Leather wrapped steering wheel with a manual tilting telescoping wheel, plenty of adjustability to get into your ideal position. However, you don't have memory settings, you don't have four-way lumbar, so that is going to be found elsewhere. Now, the vision out the front of this vehicle is outstanding. Now, you can see exactly where you want to put the vehicle. You can still see the hood, but it's not hidden, it's not too large, so you can park and drive the vehicle without worrying about crashing it. Now, if we get into the back seat, this is going to be where most of the space is going to be found. Now, this seat in the front is going to be adjusted for where I would be sitting comfortably. Now, if you look at that, there is still 4 to 5 inches between my knee and the back of the seat. However, you do not have any seat back pockets on the driver's side, so storage is going to be somewhat more minimal than the other. Now, one thing I love about the CRV is the amount of adjustability you have in the seat. So you can recline it or you can push it forward to have a more upright position. As you can see, get a nice comfortable spot. Or if you, for some reason, need it, you can go pretty much straight up and down and run out of headroom. Now, 41.3 inches of legroom in the front, 41 in the back. That's about 3 more inches of legroom than its competitor RAV4, but that's for the 25 model. That is not for the 26, the revised new generation of RAV4. Let me put this back, climb into the middle. There is a small little hump, but the middle seat's not too bad in terms of comfort. Small little hump there. You have 2 USB-C chargers, some vents sharing the climate control from the front end. And this seat here on the passenger side is all the way back in its tracks. And even then, I can slide my feet under there comfortably and have about 2 to 3 inches between my knee and the back of the seat. Now, headroom, I would say that with the seat more upright, I could have a little bit more, but with the amount of adjustability you have in terms of the recline, you can get into a comfortable position without worrying about hitting your head. Now, as I mentioned, there is a seat back pocket on the passenger side, not on the driver's side, but you have some more storage in the top cubby and bottom cubby for the door panel, so you can store a drink, some extra miscellaneous items, a wallet, keys, things of that sort. But other than that, there is no center cup holder. There is, however, a fold-down armrest, but the cup holders are pretty small, not adjustable, and the padding is minimal. If you're going away for the weekend, you're going camping with your family, you need to store some stuff in the back of your vehicle, it is quite easy and spacious in the back of your CRV. It is a powered tailgate here on this trim, so you press that button, that opens up, revealing 39.3 cubic feet of storage behind that second row. Now, sometimes in these crossover SUVs or SUVs in general, there is more storage underneath the floor. However, this being a hybrid, there is high voltage electrical underneath there and a battery for your hybrid system. So that is pretty much locked down. There is no way to access that. So there's no spare tire, no Fix-A-Fly under there, and no extra space for your miscellaneous items. There is, however, a can of Fix-A-Fly over there on the driver's side wheel well, and a 12-volt socket, an LED, and space for a cargo cover. Now, the LED light is found on the driver as well as the passenger side. Behind that second row, you have 39.3 cubic feet of storage, as I said, but if you wanted to fold down your 60/40 folding seats, you have 76.5 cubic feet of total storage. Now, if you wanted to maybe camp in the back of your CRV, it's possible, but you're gonna have a pretty sore back in the morning due to a 7 or 8 inch hump separating the cargo from that second row. So it's not possible to sleep back here without pain, but the cargo space is going to be more both behind the second and first row than one of its main competitors, the Toyota RAV4. The interior of the 2026 goes unchanged in terms of how it's styled, with that honeycomb grille going across the dashboard and this dimpled black plastic that runs across the span of the dashboard. Now right above that is going to be a new screen. This is going to be 2 inches bigger than previous, so 9 inches in total, and that's going to be standard on all trims. Now you're also going to get standard Apple Wireless CarPlay and Android Auto. It's incredibly snappy on the screen and the colors are extremely vibrant. The only change from this trim, I guess the rest of the trims versus the Top Sport Touring, is that is going to have your Google Assistant built in. So when you're on your main menu, you are going to have a little bit more adjustability and customizability in how you use your system. Now you can do things like voice command your climate control system to change from 60 to 70 degrees. Stuff like that that is not found here is going to be found on that top trim. But that brings us to the good point of saying that there is still physical controls down below with a very satisfying click. So it is still going to be pretty physical in terms of how you adjust your climate control. I really approve of that. Heated seats here with our cloth fabric, but no ventilation or leather found on this trim. We have a standard wireless charger down below, and that is going to be found on all trims. USB-C 1, 2, as well as a 12-volt socket. Now, if you pan back a little bit, we are going to have the same center console design with the drive mode select up top, downhill assist control, as well as your parking brake and brake hold, as well as your gear selector. Now, I do think that I would like to see a little bit of a revision here soon. As much as I like a physical gear selector, I think it can go to a dial or maybe even up on the steering column. Now, if we go through our drive modes, I'll name them off real quick. There is nothing special about the drive modes here in this trim. As you can see here up on our larger 10.2 inch screen, we have Sport, Normal, Econ, and Snow. There is no sort of trail mode or off-road mode for the off-road oriented Trailsport. So that is a little bit of a miss for me, because I would have loved to seen something differentiating each trim in terms of how the all-wheel drive, braking, vectoring, as well as throttle mapping may change. Now, as I mentioned, that is a larger screen up in that gauge cluster, 10.2 inches, and that's going to be found on the EXL, so the top gas trim, and all hybrid trims. It's going to give you a lot of information for your hybrid system, whether it's your charge level, your power output, if you're in EV mode, not in EV mode, drive selection, your follow distance and cruise control settings in the middle, and your speedometer over there on the right. Now, on the way out here, we averaged about 33 miles per gallon over a span of about 50 miles. We've been idling and things of such, so it has gone down a little bit to 26, but around 33 out on the highway is what we got in a realistic real-world situation. Now, zooming out a little bit onto the steering wheel is a 3-spoke design. Nothing has changed. You are going to have your track forward back, volume up and down, and your voice command system there, as well as a scrolly wheel to control the 10.2 inch screen. On the right side is going to be your cruise control settings. So you have your cruise control set, your follow distance, as well as your lane keep assist, and more functionality to control the right side of your digital display. Now, as this does have heated steering wheel, that is going to mean that we have a leather wrapped wheel with that orange contrast stitching. This and the Top Sport Touring are the only 2 trims that are going to get a heated steering wheel. So if that is important to you, you're gonna have to go for the Trailsport or spend the extra $3,000 to $4,000 to get that Top Sport Touring. Now, one other thing that is found here, or I guess not found here, that's found on that top trim is going to be the speaker system. It is going to be an 8-speaker Honda branded speaker system here, but if you go to that top trim, you're going to get a 12-speaker Bose system, so it's going to give a little bit more bang for the buck.
Time to get this out on the road, and acceleration is a little bit strange. When you put your foot all the way down, you can hear the engine revving up, but depending on how fast you rev it, it'll sound like it's shifting gears, but there are no gears and we're not being driven by the engine. We were still able to get this 0 to 60 in 7.7 seconds. That is just going to be some preliminary testing up here. I think we are at a pretty decent altitude, although considering this mostly drives like an electric car, it's not going to be as important. Either way, not the fastest thing, but plenty zippy.
Yeah, it feels plenty fast enough for what application it is used for, right? For everyday grocery getter, hauling around a couple of kids, it's plenty quick, gets you good efficiency, and I don't know, a good all-around vehicle. It's not going to be as fast as a pure electric SUV. It's not going to be as slow as a all-gas or maybe a little bit quicker just because of that electric punch, but it feels plenty quick. Now stopping was actually not bad at all. It did feel like there was a little bit of slippage because of those knobbier all-terrain tires, and that's pretty common. You know, if you have less surface area contacting the road, you are going to have a little bit less traction in those intense situations. 124 feet is what it took to get this vehicle stopped, which isn't too bad. It's definitely not anything super quick or super short, but I would say that's pretty run-of-the-mill for this type of vehicle.
Yeah, and again, these are going to be different scenarios, right? So different roads than we test at home, that sort of thing. So all just sort of a baseline. But you know, the thing about these tires, and tires can play a huge impact on a vehicle. The thing I was worried about, and we haven't experienced, was that they were going to be too loud. There are a number of vehicles in this category that we've tested that have what is, I would call, an off-road inspired trim, and I think that's probably where I'd categorize this, that put on knobby tires that were so loud inside. And people who are not familiar with off-roading, who don't put those kinds of tires on their vehicle, they're not ready for that. Not in the world that I can imagine. Sure, 4Runner folks go and put big knobby tires on it, but for someone who's looking for a CRV, they're not looking for this to suddenly become, I guess, a less pleasant driving experience. The good news is these tires have not given us that.
The only place you might be able to hear just a hint of a slight hum is at lower speeds. Up at highway speeds, the rest of the wind noise that you get in every vehicle is going to drown out any sort of noise caused by those tires. Now, they are all-terrains, and I put air quotations around that because they are pretty mild. They're not going to be the same all-terrain that you're going to go buy off a shelf at your local tire rack, discount tire. It is going to be more of a crossover-inspired all-terrain, something that we're starting to see a little bit more and more as the time goes on, as the CUV class starts to get bigger and broader. So it's going to be a little bit less aggressive, but still give you that off-road performance that you're going to want.
Yeah, now Honda brought us out here. We were down near San Diego, and we went up to kind of the mountain area. We were going to do some off-road driving. We said we were going to get to play in the dirt, and that's really what we thought. But that playing in the dirt was pretty short-lived. We know that this is not a fully dedicated off-road vehicle. We know it's going to be an off-road inspired trim, but we were hoping for a little bit more to see the capability. There's a couple pieces of that though. Most people just aren't really, I guess, aware of how capable their vehicle already is. And I think the big concern there is safety. They're worried about damaging their car. Most of us don't just have a spare car. We can go ahead and drive and pay to get things repaired and not worry about it. So in that case, folks want more capability than they're really going to need, so that if they ever end up in that one scenario, they can. Really, we just ended up in a regular driving scenario. We didn't have to use any more ground clearance, which is good because we don't have it. We didn't have to lock any differentials because we don't have them. And they didn't put us anywhere where we'd end up damaging the underside of the vehicle because there's no additional protection. What we did get to do is push the tires a little bit more, and they were more helpful than if we were out there on street tires, but that was all very, very mild.
And I would say that there was situations, yes, we didn't test them per se, but there was situations where it would have been nice to have extra ground clearance so you have a better approach angle. Now, if you had more articulation, let's say an off-road tuned suspension like you find in the RAV4 alternative, you're going to find that the suspension is going to have a little bit more give to it to keep all four wheels planted. Now, Honda has said that they have improved on the all-wheel drive system. We haven't gotten to test that. I was hoping that we would. They had some roller testing there, some rollers that you can pull your car up on. That's a good test to kind of just demonstrate it, but in a real-world application, it's not super realistic. And so I guess what I was hoping for was maybe a little bit harder off-roading to really test out that improved all-wheel drive. Now, the way they've improved it is by under 9 miles an hour, the all-wheel drive clamps a little bit harder on the wheel that has less traction and applies a little bit more power on the wheel that is the most tractive. So it does work a little bit better, and that's going to be across the board for all-wheel drives. It's not exclusive to this trim. And so realistically, here's some things that I really wish I would have seen out of this vehicle to make it more capable. One, I wish they would have put skid plates on it like they have with the other Trailsports. I wish they would have put maybe just a slightly bigger tire. If not that, give us about an inch more ground clearance, because we're still sitting at that 8.2 that we have on all trims. It's about the same as the 2025 RAV4 Woodland, but it doesn't have off-road tuned suspension. And that's another thing that the other other Trailsports get that we don't get here. So I would say, in the nicest way, that this is watering down what the Trailsport name means. Because the Trailsport name means taking your everyday vehicle that someone is going to be driving and giving it that capability that the small few might want past what was already there. There's really not any more capability here. Correct me if I'm wrong, you could put these tires on any other trim. Granted, you're not going to get the same packaging between the cloth and the orange accents and the Trailsport logos, but you're going to get the same capability if you just put on a set of $600, $800 tires onto your vehicle.
We see a lot of manufacturers who are leaning into this off-road capability, or this off-road experience, or this off-road look, or there's just this rugged aesthetic that people are leaning into. I'm a little bit bummed that Honda's calling this the Trailsport because they have tried to build up that Trailsport name, and they've done a really good job of it. If you look at the last model that came out, that Passport Trailsport is a capable vehicle, and it comes with a huge spare tire in the back, so it's a full-size spare. You have the option of basically taking up half your cargo space to put it there. It says, hey, we want to go on an adventure, and I think it's going right at the heart of something like the 4Runner. But now when you call this a Trailsport, it feels like it takes away from that, and just didn't feel like it was necessary. Now, there are a lot of other manufacturers who are doing this I guess, line of vehicle.
Yeah, the visual package.
Right. Subaru has already had pretty good capability built into all of their vehicles, but they now have a wilderness trim. Nissan has the Rock Creek. We don't see anything from Mazda, but we know we have Woodland, and we also have TRD models, TRD Off-Road, TRD Pro, TRD Trail Hunter, obviously not applied to the RAV4, at least not yet. But there are a lot of these ways to do it. This feels like the lowest entry into the segment of the off-road CUV. But it also makes it probably the best on-road crossover. And that's where people are going to spend most of their time. So here's the reality. I don't mind that this exists. I just don't know if they should have called it a Trailsport.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't feel like it matches the others, and it does feel like it takes away. And if they're going to call it a Trailsport, there are a few more things I would like, understanding that maybe it doesn't add any more capability, but let's lean into things a little bit harder. Let's go ahead and give me a black Honda emblem, or a black with orange Honda emblem, so it matches the Trailsport badge. I like the seats, no complaints there. I actually like a cloth seat, but the Passport has a really great matte black graphic you can put on the hood, and that's to keep sun out of your eyes. I mean, that's the argument for it. That would look great here. Go ahead and give me a little bit more graphics so that it just feels like I'm leaning further into that realm.
Yeah, the only really way that you'd be able to tell if this is a Trailsport when it whizzes by you at 40, 50 miles an hour is the ash green paint color, because that is exclusive to the Trailsport, whether it was when it was found first on the Passport or now here in 2026 for the CR-V. If you don't see it, if you don't see those tiny little orange accents on the outside, you would just think that this is just your normal CR-V with all-terrain tires. Now, I want to mention one thing, and that is that I'm not trying to romp on Honda too hard. Like, I think that the Trailsport is a fantastic trim level for the vehicles that it's applied to. I just wish they would have either given us a little bit more capability or toned it back and given us like a Trailsport edition or a Trailsport package, not a Trailsport. Does that make sense? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like if they were to do like a visual package as an add-on to a Sport L or a Sport, whatever it may be, I just feel like having a dedicated trim, I feel it's a little bit of a miss. But nonetheless, I find that even without the added capability of a Trailsport, I don't know, I just find that I feel like there was a little bit of a miss working with this Trailsport. But let us know what you guys think down in the comments, because I'm interested to see what everybody has to say. Now, obviously, it's different driving it firsthand versus watching it on YouTube, but I think it's a good-looking car. That's a given. I think the ash green, the gloss black accents, and the interior aesthetics with the Trailsport on the headrest and the accent stitching, it's all great. I just wish there was a little bit more capability.
The way this is packaged is, I think, to where people would ever truly use it. But people don't necessarily want to buy the vehicle that's built just for their use case. They want to be able to extend it, or they're looking for a vehicle that can go farther than they currently do to help encourage them to do something. If you spend time in colder climates, this is going to be a great way to get your all-wheel drive and your hybrid and heated seats and heated steering wheel and a moonroof. The packaging on it works, and maybe the tires work for you a little bit better because, yes, you live up a dirt road. Alex does the same thing. He's got that dirt road, and this would handle things a little bit nicer. But people want a little bit more out of it. And I have to admit, as much as I don't mind where everything sits here, I too want a little bit more from it.
I mean, I think driving out on the road, it's fantastic. It feels tighter than the RAV4. I like how it drives, like how you sit inside the vehicle. It feels more car-like rather than truck-like, less upright. How do you like driving it so far?
Behind the wheel, especially like the curvy roads that we've been driving today, this feels great.
Yeah.
I actually wouldn't mind a little bit more on-road grip, not like we've ever been close to running out, but it is going to be a little bit tighter suspension, which also means that if you do a lot of trail driving, you're going to feel a lot of more trail driving, and that's it's not going to be entirely comfortable. So for your everyday, this is still going to be one of the sportier feeling offerings out there, but that makes it less capable in the scenario that it's trying to market itself as. It's all a little bit confusing.
If you're shopping for your next compact SUV and you wanted something that's a little bit more rugged in design as well as something that has some more capability, I don't find the CR-V is a bad option per se, but I don't find it to be the most capable option. Now at $40,195 delivered, it's a pretty high price when you consider it against something like a 2025 RAV4, as we don't have exact pricing for the 26 revised RAV4. It's about $3,000 more, and the RAV4 offers some better off-road capability. But where this vehicle really shines is how it drives out on the road, the efficiency, and how the hybrid system works. And I think both Travis and I can agree that this is a fantastic vehicle out on the road. It feels tight, it feels nimble, and it feels sporty given the off-road nature of it. But the off-road capability, I think, could be improved just a little bit to better fit the Trailsport name. Travis, what are your thoughts overall on the CR-V Trailsport?
Besides really liking the way that it looks, I think it comes across more as sort of a special edition packaging than it does a specific off-road one. We get some interesting features, things like heated seats and these off-painted door handles that aesthetically are going to be more of a fit to some. I do like the gray wheels myself, and I love the orange of the Trailsport. I just feel like this probably could have been called a sport trail rather than a trail sport. It just doesn't feel like it matches with the rest of the family. And if it stretches too far, that might bring the rest of the family down just a little bit. However, I do like this powertrain. On road, I would prefer something like this over a Woodland any day, but also considering how often do you want to take it off the beaten path and how far are you truly going? These tires are a good mix of on-road and off-road because obviously you're going to get some more grip, but you're really not sacrificing anything. These are not a big mud terrain tire or anything like that. So if I was going to get something that looked rugged but didn't need to be especially so, this is exactly what I would be going for. And I think that's what a lot of people are really wanting. It's just sort of that I can go anywhere feel without really needing to be able to do so.
And if you needed more luxury and technology on this, really just more luxury, you can go for something like the Sport L or the Sport Touring, which the Sport L is about $1,000 more than this, and then the Sport Touring is around $43,600, and that will get you not only leather interior, but it'll get you a Bose sound system, better sounding sound system, and some more creature comforts throughout the vehicle to make it a little bit more worth the price. And here, having fabric seats isn't a deal breaker for me, but it kind of falls in a weird spot within the lineup to where it does fall in between the Sport and the Sport L, but it is the off-road oriented trim. So let us know down in those comments what you think of the CR-V Trailsport. I almost called it the Sport Trail. The CR-V Trailsport, I think it is a fantastic vehicle out on the road, could use some improvement off-road, but I want to know what you guys think down below. So leave those comments. My name is Nick and Travis behind the camera with Auto Buyer's Guide. Thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time, we will see you then.